Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Political Ray. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a couple of stories that we're going to get into that happened just over the weekend. The big one being Justin Trudeau stepping down and Mark Carney stepping in as the Prime Minister of Canada. Um, installed is more, for lack of a better term, this is pretty much what it is. It was an installed Prime Minister from the Liberal government because they are in power, and we'll get into it. And there's a couple things that we'll get into as far as the way that Canadian politics actually does work, because it's not the same as the U.S., but we'll get into it. And then the other big story is, I hate to even cover this woman, but Jasmine Crockett saying it's all over the place, saying that illegal immigrants are not illegal. Coming across the border illegally, she claims, is not a crime. But it is. Well, we'll get into that too. I'm going to get into this one first, just because of the fact that it'll take me a quick couple minutes to get through this, just because Jasmine Crockett's either she's just ignorant, stupid, or she doesn't care about the fact that it is illegal. But we'll get into this. Now, this is from the Post Millennial. We'll get into this real quick. Jasmine Crockett claims that illegal immigrants have not committed any crimes. This is the same argument that AOC did when she was talking to Tom Homan and talking to him about it. But everybody's seen that clip. I'm not going to get into that one. Everybody's seen it. If you haven't seen it, just look it up. It's everywhere. Tom Homan just destroys her when she says that, the whole people seeking asylum are not illegal, blah, blah, blah. But he owns her on that. But anyway, we'll get into this. Look, it doesn't matter how you feel about it. The fact that they came into this country illegally, it's in the name. Illegal migrant, illegal alien, illegal, however you want to say it. Illegal is in the name. And I know they want to change it to just migrant. They're migrants. No, they're not. They came into this country illegally, which is a crime, but we're going to get into it. Anyway, so check this out. This is from the Post Millennial again. Let me close that. Anyway, Democrat Rep. Jasmine Crockett claims entering the country illegally is not a crime. It's in the name, illegally. Again. Anyway, this woman, she's making waves. She's making a big name for herself, not in a positive way, not in my opinion anyway. Because every time she comes out and does something, it's either cringy, or she's just talking nonsense, or she just doesn't know what she's talking about. But she's making waves the same way that AOC and the squad does, just talking falsehoods and not knowing what she's actually talking about. But I digress. Anyway, Texas Representative Jasmine Crockett is facing criticism after falsely stating on MSNBC that entering the U.S. illegally is not a crime. Then why is it called illegally? For one, it doesn't make any sense. I think she's just trying to. She's looking for her time in the limelight. That's what I think. Because everything she says is not true. It's not. Speaking to MSNBC's Katie Fang, I think is how you say it. But anyway, Crockett claimed that it is not a criminal violation to enter the country illegally. It's not a crime. She went on to claim that Republican officials are frustrated because they really want our local law enforcement to go out and round up people when they could be looking out for murderers and the sex abusers. That's what they're doing. Okay, Tom Homan has specifically said that as of right now, they are going after illegals who have broken additional laws, who are out there, they're doing assault on women and everything else. He's specifically said it. Okay, it's not a secret. And I just want to say, look, it's 8 U.S. Code, Section 1325. That is, it's the same. It's the same code law that Tom Homan specifically quoted to AOC when she was, grilling him on questions about legal asylees, as she calls them. But it's the same code. Coming across the border illegally, according to this code, Section 8, or It's Code 8, Section 1325. You can look it up. It specifically states that people coming across the border is a crime. If you come across this border illegally into the United States, that is breaking a law, which makes you a criminal. It's not hard to understand. But Jasmine Crockett doesn't want, either she doesn't want to understand or she just completely ignores it. The same thing with AOC. Anyway, don't give me this fake outrage about criminals roaming our streets when you guys stand 10 toes down for the biggest criminal we have ever seen go into the White House, Crockett added, in reference to President Donald Trump. 34, they claim all the time 34, felony convictions, which were trumped up charges, which would have been just one misdemeanor for anybody else. But because it was President Trump, they raised it up to a felony, and the judge specifically told that jury that it doesn't matter if there's any other evidence, whatever have you, that you need to find him guilty. They were told that, the jury. So you can't tell me that's not corrupt. And the whole sexual assault thing, look, that woman there was no proof. It was 30 years ago. Never brought any kind of physical evidence, no video. She can't even remember exactly when it happened. So, I mean, I think it was a falsehood, and I'm of the belief that if a woman decides to bring a false claim like that, she should face legal, ramifications. That's my opinion, but it doesn't happen that way. But anyway, take a look at the video of her on MSNBC saying this just idiotic statement of it's not a criminal violation when it is.
It is not a criminal violation to enter the country illegally. It's not a criminal. It's a crime. It's not a crime, which is why they're so frustrated, because they really want our local law enforcement to go out and round up people when they could be looking out for the murderers and the sexual abusers as well as the robbers. They want them to go and round people up on civil accusations. And so that,
again, I'll say it again. It's in the name. She said, look, she said illegal crossings is not a crime. It is. It's in the name. Illegal crossings. When they should be worried about, assaulting women and everything else. That's what they're doing. Again, I'll say it again. Tom Homan specifically said they're rounding up the people who have committed further criminal activity, whether it be assault on women, theft, burglary, what have you. It doesn't. I don't see look. I've said this before too. I'll say it again. If you're not okay with removing people in this country that are here illegally, for one, but have committed assaults on women, committed further crime, burglary, theft, B&Es, whatever the case may be, if you're not okay with deporting these people, there's something wrong with you. If you're not okay with criminals who are here illegally being sent back to their own country, you've got other issues. They shouldn't be here in the first place. They came here illegally, and the fact that they committed further crimes, especially the heinous ones, if you're not okay with sending them away and getting them out of this country, you've got other problems. I'm sorry, but I feel like there's no helping you. But anyway, Crockett's statement was quickly challenged for being inaccurate. Senator Mike Lee reposted a video of Crockett's remarks, commenting, "Yeah, it's literally a crime." Yes, it is. He's 100% right, and citing the relevant U.S. code. That's code 8 U.S. Code 8, Section 1325. Go look it up. Again, I'll say it again. Just look it up. It's not hard to find. I found it, which means anybody can, because I'm not that smart. Anyway, under federal law, it is a crime to enter the U.S. illegally because it is punishable by imprisonment. Entering the country unlawfully can result in both criminal and civil penalties. As the Trump administration has expressed its efforts to go after these who are in the country illegally, it has emphasized the importance of primarily targeting illegal immigrants who are convicted of other crimes. Last month, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement arrested 4 illegal immigrants in Washington with convictions or charges related to sexual assault, including one individual charged with child rape. Again, how would you not be okay with sending these people out? The fact that you're defending this just tells me what kind of a person you are. And if anybody else can't see what kind of a person they are for defending people like this, you've got other problems. You cannot defend sending somebody like this outside, sending them back to their own country. I don't understand how you would be okay with just leaving them alone. The fact that they do these things and then they get sent right back out into the streets in these sanctuary cities, just because it's a sanctuary city, these people commit these heinous crimes, and then they get sent right back out into the community for them to do it again, because there's no repercussions. They've come in here illegally, for one. They've committed further acts of crime, and then they're just sent right back into the community because the Democrats don't want them to be sent back to where they came from. It's insane. Anybody that's okay with this, they have problems. That's all there is to it. But that's I could go on with this forever because I think it's just stupid. There's no reason for these people to stay in our country. But anyway, we'll move on to Justin Trudeau has stepped down, and Mike Carney has been installed as the new prime minister in Canada. And this is nuts. Now I understand. Look, Canada doesn't have the same. I mean, they run off of a parliament system, and I understand now. A lot of people say, "Well, Ray, they don't have the same voting as us. They don't elect their prime minister." I get that, but the way I understand it is, the prime minister is selected from the well, right now it's the Liberal Party that has the majority, and I understand that. So they're the ones that elect somebody from Parliament, is the way I understand it. They're supposed to select somebody from Parliament. Now, Mark Carney, he wasn't in Parliament. The guy, so just a little backstory on this guy. He was the head of, I want to say it was the CEO. Maybe he was just the head. I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure I read that he was actually the CEO of the Canadian bank, and before that it was the British bank. And he's a civilian. He's not actually part of Parliament. So this is why I don't understand how he got put into the position of prime minister. He's as a civilian, as you would call it. So why, like I said, as far as I understand it, there's supposed to be a within Parliament, and then, the majority vote, they get put in as prime minister. So the fact that he's a civilian, not part of Parliament, is what's got me confused. Excuse me. So I don't understand how they were able to just put this guy in. Now, like I said, Parliament voted him in. The Liberal Party is the majority party within Parliament. So, like I said, they voted him in. And there are elections coming up in October for Canada. And again, the way this works is they vote Parliament in. They don't actually vote for the prime minister. They vote in, the people vote in Parliament, and then Parliament elects a prime minister. That's the way it works. I get it. But this guy's not part of Parliament. Like I said, you have to be part of Parliament to be voted in as the prime minister. If I'm wrong, let me know. But as far as I understand it, that's the way it's supposed to work. So how'd this guy get in? Anyway, but let's check this out. I mean, this is just a video of when he got, this is them clapping and being all happy.
In first place, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, with 131,674 votes, resulting in 29,457 allocated points, representing 85.9% of the vote.
Okay, so that's him. They're saying, he got 85% of the votes in Parliament. But again, I'll say the Liberal Party is the majority party. So I guess in a way, I mean, like I said, I'm not 100% up to date on how all of Canadian politics works. As I said, as far as I know, Parliament's voted in, Then Parliament votes on one of their own, whoever has the majority. They vote to, put in a prime minister. But this guy's not even part of Parliament. He's anyway. That's my gist. That's how I see it. But anyway, this is a little bit of his speech here when he got put in, when he was installed, and I can tell you there's a lot. I've seen a lot of posts. And again, it's X. There's wiggle room for error and everything else, and I understand that. But there's a lot of posts that I've seen from people in Canada that are not happy about this. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see what happens. I don't think that this guy's going to be. I think he's actually a downgrade from Trudeau. I think he's going to be worse than Trudeau was. But that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I don't think I will be. He's part of the World Economic Forum, which in itself is a terrible thing. They want a one world government and everything else, so I don't think it's good for Canada. I think that they're going to struggle. He's promised to fight back against President Trump and the tariffs, but take a look at a little bit of his speech here, and y'all can let me know. I don't think that he's going to do very well.
There's someone who's trying to do the opposite. There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy. Yeah, Donald Trump.
Oh boy, here we go.
Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, as we know, has put, as the Prime Minister just said, unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living. He's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed. And we won't.
He's talking about the tariffs that President Trump has said that he's going to impose on Canada.
I am proud of the response of Canadians who are making their voices heard and their wallets felt. I am grateful for how our provinces are stepping up to the fight, because when we are united, we are Canada strong.
And I'm just going to say a quick note here. Everybody who has hatred towards President Trump and everything, and his MAGA movement, the MAGA loyals, everything else. Let me ask you, what's the difference between? And they're totally behind Canada. Before I make this statement, they're totally at 100% behind Canada. So let me ask you something. What's the difference between Canada putting Canada first and President Trump putting America first? Why do you hate one agenda but not the other one? It's a contradictory statement, and it makes no sense. For you to be on the side of Canada, who puts Canada first, or claims they do, but you're not okay with President Trump putting America first. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Anyway.
The Canadian government has rightly retaliated and is rightly retaliating with our own tariffs that will have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here in Canada. And my government will keep our tariffs on until the Americans show us respect.
Okay, he says that he's going to keep the tariffs in effect until America shows them respect. Let me ask you something. Do you think Canada would exist without the help of America? Because I don't. I think that they are very much dependent on the American tax dollar, and I think that without the American support, that Canada would not. They wouldn't be able to be. They wouldn't try and be, try and pretend to be a superpower like they're trying to be right now. I think that they're very dependent on the American tax dollar, and I mean they get subsidies from us all the time, a lot of money from the U.S. tax dollar, and how do you think that they can afford to have a free health care for all implement in their government? I mean, how else do you fund that? Because I mean, I know that in Canada has a lot of their housing market is almost twice as much as ours is, even with how ridiculous ours is right now. Canada's is worse. And let's not forget that they've had tariffs on us for a very long time. Before Trump came into office, they talk about free trade all they want, but Canada's had tariffs on the U.S. for a very, very long time. Not on everything. I'm not going to say that they do, because there's a lot of stuff that it's a very, very, very low tariff. In some cases, like 0.1% tariff on imported goods from the U.S. It's not everything, but think about this: the dairy that we send up to Canada. I mean, dairy products like milk, eggs, poultry, that kind of stuff. Especially the dairy, though. Milk, eggs, that kind of stuff, cheese. They're tariffed up to, now this is up to, there's a limit that it goes to, and it's a little difficult to understand, but I'm gonna try and say, you know, the best I can. Sometimes I have a hard time, putting into perspective and translating it, but I'm gonna give it my best shot here. So you've got an up to 270% tariff on dairy products going into Canada. Now there's a cap on it, like at 270, and you have to receive so much of the product before it jumps up to that 270%. I mean, it's lower than that, but when you think about how much dairy and everything we're sending up to Canada, it doesn't take long. I mean, it's quick before it kicks into that 270% tariff. That's a big percentage. Meat's another one. Now, it's not all meats, but there's certain meats that if we send up to Canada, the tariff on it is 26%. That's a whole percent more than what President Trump's put onto them. And actually, President Trump has actually suspended it until April 2nd, because that's when the reciprocal tariffs go into effect. And a lot of people are upset about this too, but reciprocal just means whatever they're charging us in tariffs, we're just going to turn around and charge them the same thing. You can talk about free trade all you want, but there's nothing wrong with reciprocal tariffs. Nothing. Whatever they're charging us, we're going to charge them. I don't see a problem with it. I don't think Canada would exist without us. And especially, look, our military is massive compared to theirs. They have no border to speak of. If somebody was to come in and try to annex Canada, it wouldn't take long. Not in my opinion. Especially if the U.S. decided not to help them out. The only reason that Canada hasn't been taken over by another country is because of the United States. It's that simple. Anyway, we'll keep going with this.
Yeah. And until they can join us in making credible and reliable commitments to free and fair trade, as Krista did. Yeah. And in the meantime, we will
Again, I'm going to stress this just one more time. Tell me what's not fair about reciprocal tariffs. Tell me what's not fair about it. You let me know. Look, he suspended the tariffs on you until April 2nd, and that's when the reciprocal tariffs take place. So tell me what's not fair about that. Whatever you charge us, we're just going to go ahead and charge you. It equals out, doesn't it? I mean, am I wrong? Shouldn't you want free trade? Isn't that what it pretty much does? Anyway.
Sure that all the proceeds from our tariffs will be used to protect our workers.
I don't believe that for a second. Not one second. I think that the tariffs that they have in place are going to help them out more than their people. I don't think that he cares about those people. Like I said, he's part of the World Economic Forum. I don't think that he cares about the people, not one bit. That's just my opinion. Could be wrong. I don't think I am. Anyway, a lot of Canadians are not happy with this pick. Again, I'll say in my opinion, he was installed. I know you can talk to me about Canadian politics all you want. This guy was installed, and a lot of Canadians that I've seen on X, they seem to think the same thing. We'll take a look at this. This is somebody posted this on X, a Canadian citizen, number of Canadian citizens versus number of Mark Carney voters. Approximate number of Canadians is in blue. Number of people coordinated Mark Carney. That's the orange there. That little sliver. They're not happy about this. They're not okay with it. They're just from what I've seen on X, I haven't seen one person, that's a Canadian citizen. I haven't seen it yet. Maybe I'm in a bubble, but I have stories from the left and the right on my timeline, and I haven't seen anybody say that they're happy with this pick. I haven't seen it yet. Maybe it's out there. Maybe from the Liberal Party, but I haven't seen those yet either. So, this is another one that I wanted to show. This is Miss Effie. Anyway, only 0.32% of Canadians voted for Mark Carney, Canadians' next prime minister. The Liberals want you to believe that this is democracy. Installing a prime minister without a federal election is a dictatorship. Yes, I completely 100% agree. Like I said, you can talk to me all you want about Canadian politics, but I don't agree with how it does. I don't think it's good how it goes. He's shake it up a little bit. I mean, like I said, maybe we'll see in October, but I believe that their government is corrupt enough to where it doesn't matter what happens in October, even if the majority of people in Canada want a more conservative government, they're not going to get it. I don't think they will, because the government's not going to let it happen. They've got themselves installed in power, and they're not going to let it go. That's my opinion. I don't know the ins and outs of Canadian politics enough to claim I know everything about it, because I don't. But my opinion, I don't think they're not gonna relinquish power. They're not. Carney got 131,674 votes. Canada's population is approximately 40.1 million people. 0.32% of Canadians voted for our next prime minister. That's democracy in Canada. Yeah, like I said, just a couple of things out there that I wanted to show, and they're just, like I said, I haven't seen anything on X. Like I said, I get posts from the left and the right in my timeline on X. I haven't seen anything other than, like, I saw an article from the BBC, but it's a government funded propaganda wing of media in Canada. They're happy about it. The whole Liberal Party's happy about it, but I think that they got anyway, I've got different opinions about that. Maybe they got a lot of money to install him. Who knows? I mean, the World Economic Forum has a grip load of money, so who knows? Anyway, take a look at this from the Post Millennial. Again, I use a lot from them, but I trust them as a source. But breaking: Mark Carney, named Liberal leader, will replace Trudeau as Canada's next prime minister. It's crazy. Like I said, I hope for Canada's sake that they can, in October, they can get a more conservative government put in. I hope so. But with Trudeau stepping down, a Liberal Party's in power, and so they got to elect this guy in. Again, I'll say I don't know how, because he's a civilian. He's not part of Parliament, but I digress. Anyway, Mark Carney has won the race to lead Canada's Liberal Party, securing his place as the country's next prime minister. The former government of the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England will now replace Justin Trudeau as leader. Okay, so it was the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England. I think I said Britain, but either way. Taking office at a time of heightened tensions with U.S. President Donald Trump, a short transition will take place over the next week, with Carney expected to officially take over in the coming days. Let's see what we got here. This little speech from Trudeau. Let's see.
Now, I can imagine that you're all expecting me to stand up and talk about all that we've accomplished together. And don't get me wrong, I am damn proud of what we've done over these past 10 years.
Okay.
For the middle class and people working hard to join it. But tonight is about our future as a party, as a country.
Okay, this guy, look, this guy's, he's a sissy. He backed down on everything Trump did. He tried to act tough with President Trump. It didn't work. Every time it's like every time that he saw that Mexico was bucking Trump on something, he decided to do it too. And then when, as soon as Mexico backed off on it, it was a day or two later that he did the same thing. The guy's got no spine. He doesn't, and that's why he's stepping down, because he's got no spine and he knows that people see it. Anyway, Carney, who was this, okay, real quick. This guy, you want to know how Canadian politics works? This is how it goes. When he was running for prime minister, his opposing party offered a bunch of money to the BBC, and then he came in right after that and offered 25% more, I think it was. I want to say it was like 100,000 that his opponent offered to the BBC, but he offered 150. I mean, million, I think, was a billion. Don't quote me on the number. All I can tell you is that this guy came in with a higher number offered to the BBC when he was running for prime minister. That's how he got it, because he had more money. That's all there is to it. The guy with the bigger wallet is going to get in. That's just how their politics works. And that's why I don't think that they're going to have a more conservative government come October. Anyway, I digress. Carney, who was widely seen as the frontrunner throughout the contest, won with strong support from Trudeau's cabinet and over half of the Liberal members of Parliament. His main challenger, I want to say it's Chrystia Freeland, Trudeau's former deputy prime minister, fell short despite her experience in senior cabinet roles. In all, Carney won with 85% of the vote, that's kind of weird that, the deputy prime minister couldn't get in over this guy. Makes you wonder. I mean, this guy's probably got a lot of money. He greased the wheels with some of that green stuff. Anyway, the Liberal Party confirmed that 151,899 members cast ballots before voting closed at 3 p.m. local time. Freeland won 8% of the vote, while two other candidates, Frank Baylis and Karina Gould, both won around 3% of the vote. So they probably didn't have any money. Anyway, Carney has positioned himself as the strongest candidate to push back against Trump's policies, which have disrupted Canada's economy through trade uncertainty and tariffs. Well, we're only doing what you're doing to us, Canada. That's it. The U.S. president has repeatedly made comments about annexing Canada, straining relations between the two countries. During his victory speech, Carney said that he will lead with physical responsibility, social justice, and international leadership. Now, he did come out and say that he's not going to be going against, woke. They're going to stay woke. I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what he said. Let's see. He credited Trudeau with transforming Canada by uplifting children out of poverty. No, he didn't. Moving reconciliation forward and defending freedom and democracy here and throughout the world. They don't have a democracy. They don't. The way that their government works is not a democracy. I don't care what you say. There's someone who is trying to weaken our economy, Donald Trump, as we know, unjustified tariffs on what we build, what we sell, and how we make a living. It's not unjustified. You've had tariffs on us forever. It's not unjustified. Reciprocal tariffs. There's nothing wrong with it. That you want free trade, right? That's what the reciprocal tariffs do. Enacts free trade. I digress. Anyway, he's attacking Canadian workers, families, and businesses. We cannot let him succeed, and we won't. I'm proud of the response of Canadians making their voices heard and wallets felt, Carney said. Donald Trump is trying to weaken our economy, but there's someone else who, if he succeeds, will weaken our economy. It's Pierre. I'm not going to try and say that. Just doesn't get it. He is the type of lifelong politician, and I've seen this type around the world. He worships at the altar of free market despite never having made a payroll himself. And now, in the face of President Trump's threats, still refuses to get his security clearance at a time where our national security is under threat. In a way, it's never been before. In a time of immense economic insecurity, he would undermine the Bank of Canada. He called for the closing of the CBC when foreign interference is on the march. He insults our mayors and ignores our First Nations when it's time to build, and we will put an end to international aid when democracy and human rights are in danger across the world. He will also let our planet burn. It's a lot of claims. It's a lot of claims. Anyway, this guy. Anyway, let's see what it says here.
There's someone who's trying to do the opposite. There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy.
Yeah, we've seen that one. Okay. Anyway, so you've got this guy, and it's crazy to me. Anyway, I don't think, like I said, it's my opinion. I don't know all the ins and outs of Canadian politics. I don't. I'm not going to claim that I do. But the way I understand it, again, I don't see this guy being a good net positive for Canada. I just don't see it. I think he's probably worse than Trudeau because he's got his own. I think he's got his own agenda, being from the World Economic Forum, and they want a one world government, yada yada yada, all this stuff. I think it's going to be worse for Canadians. I feel bad for them being put in this situation. They don't have any kind of say over it. Like I said, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to watch it play out and see how President Trump handles it. I expect to see this guy get invited into the White House sometime soon by President Trump so they can talk about things. Maybe they can work things out. I don't see it happening because President Trump's pretty adamant about the fact that reciprocal tariffs are a good thing. I agree with it. Again, I'll say there's nothing wrong with it. This guy wants free trade. That's what the reciprocal tariffs do. They enact the free trade. So I don't see a problem with that. This guy's not going to like it, I don't think. But there's not a lot that they can do. I just don't think that I don't think Canada can survive without the help of the U.S. That's how I feel about it. I mean, I just don't see it happening. You can let me know if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I mean, hit me up. Let me know. Let me know if I missed something. If there's something that's interesting that you think that I missed. Let me know on some point or a very important fact. But hey, let me know. I'm open. If I'm wrong, I'll let you know I'm wrong. So y'all can let me know. But that's all I got for today. Appreciate you hanging out through my rants, and hopefully we can get past this. Hopefully this guy works out. As far as Jasmine Crockett, I don't really care what happens with that. But anyway, excuse me. Appreciate you hanging out again. If you like what you saw, you can follow me on Rumble. You can subscribe on YouTube if you want, but I would just go to Rumble. Rumble's where it's at. It's going to take over. I'm telling you. Anyway, you can also follow me on X at ThePoliticalRay. Again, appreciate you hanging out, and hope you all have a great day, and God bless.